Our opening words are titled, Who Cares? They come from A Guest of the World Meditations by Jeffrey Lockwood. In our modern age of apathy and egoism, there is cause for hope whenever people care about something beyond themselves. But there is more to being human than feeling deeply, for we risk becoming impassioned fools. Our minds must conspire with our hearts. We should care enough to think, and think with great care. No human endeavor shows the double-edged nature of caring like religion, with its boundless capacity to foster our humanity and its vulnerability to thoughtless passion. In a world of suffering, to devote our spiritual energy to theological trifles is not just absurd, it is immoral. Yet we persist as if such details mattered. Who cares whether Jesus was divine if we treat the homeless man in the alley as less than human? Who cares whether God is omnipotent if we don't use our power to help others? Who cares whether the Bible's authors were divinely inspired if we write laws that are profane? Who cares whether there is heaven if the hell of domestic violence burns next door? Who cares whether Mary was a virgin if we do not heed the cries of a woman being raped? Who cares whether we are saved when a child loses all hope? Who cares whether the earth was created in 7 days if 70 species disappear every day? The answer is, of course, that many people care about religious matters, and perhaps care, like love, is not a finite resource. Maybe some people have such a capacity for caring that worries about God don't detract from their concern for people. But I am not so blessed. So for everyone else like me, let us try to build a life in which we care about the things that matter most.
Poet Amy G.S.A. Brooks is a cisgender, queer, Australian-born immigrant to the United States who loves a good cup of hot tea and hates mornings. She is a minister and the author of Another Scroll, Defiant Readings for the lectionary Year C. Most recently, she has been busy writing her second book and providing pulpit supplies for progressive congregations, both in person and in digital spaces. Amy is deeply familiar with grief and trauma. She finds truth and meaning in the liminal spaces where humanity encounters the divine. She claims kinship with her wife, Lori, as well as their adult children, assorted members of the chosen family, and numerous pets. To any of those who are visiting us for the first time, welcome. We welcome you. To all who are yearning for community, come in, be among us. To all who are just getting started, to all who long to go deeper, to all with tender places needing care, come in, be amongst us. To the ones who have healed and care to give, for those who are curious and hungry to learn, for those who know that they have something to teach, come in, be amongst us. For the ones who are just beginning to suspect they might nurture others becoming, to the young and the old, the innocent and the jaded, the fresh of mind and the deeply steeped, there is room here for each and every one. Come in, be amongst us.
I invite you all to you rise and bow to your spirit to sing our opening song together? Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Move into the chalice lighting. I have some announcements which I missed. Today, after church, is the beginning of our auction. Bidding is available both in person and online. There are special treats at coffee hour. Linger for something delicious and start bidding. Bidding continues for the next 3 Sundays. Our coming of age for youth and adults class continues today at 12:30. This session will focus on naming our values. All are welcome. Lunch and childcare are provided. We will gather in room 19, the large room near the top of the stairs. The memorial service for Jan Park will happen next Saturday at 11 a.m. right here at People's Church. People can also attend via Zoom on our regular Zoom link. Next Sunday after church, we will be hosting an LGBTQ and Pronouns 101 training. Del Darnell from Out Front will be with us to teach us and answer all our questions. If you have questions about newer ideas of gender and sexuality, this is the place to come and learn. That's next Sunday after church. Lunch and childcare are provided. And I'd like to invite Catherine Boltman to come up and light our chalice. Catherine, are you here? There you are. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light, thank you. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths. If you are on Zoom, please feel free to let us know that you have a chalice lit, and where it is lit, and put that in the chat box, please. Thank you.
In addition to our chalice lit here, we have chalices lit on Drake Road, in the Millwood neighborhood, in Oshtemo, on Highland View, and in Schoolcraft. It is, and on Cherry Street. It's good to be together in our many ways. And in Parkview Hills. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that this love.
Good morning. My name is Diane Melvin, and I'm here to honor this time that we gather together to acknowledge the things that are most important to us, the joys and the sorrows that we hold in our hearts that somehow are more joyous and a little lighter when we share them with the larger community. And once a month, we invite our children to join us for this. So at this time, I invite you to come up, say your name, and you are welcome to place a stone in the water as you share your joy or sorrow. And then just the final stones for all of those joys and concerns that remain unspoken and within our hearts today. May we share them in the community. As we share them silently, may we hold them in our community.
There is a love holding us. Line 2. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
And with that, we invite all of the children to head out to room 9 to move into our specialty classes.
Go forth in peace in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way. And may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go. Go forth in peace in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way. And may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go.
This church knows that financial contributions come from sacrifice and hard work. With that in mind, as a church, we commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for not just the church, but for ourselves and our world. May this offering sustain and grow the life of this church. Please be as generous as you can.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with
that sustains us, from the countless gifts we have been given, gifts of life, love, and sustenance. We share in the works of love, which none of us accomplish alone. Now, please, if you would join me in a short silent meditation.
The title of this prayer is God's Credo. But if God is not meaningful for you, I invite you to imagine a message coming from the universe, from a person or a people who affirm and support you, from your favorite relative, from the wonder of life itself. I believe in you. You are whole. There is nothing inherently wrong with you. You have value, worth, dignity. There may be times when you are harmed and require mending, but you are not garbage. You are always worth saving. You are holy. You have been called into being and named good. You contain within you the divine spark of life. Your continued existence matters. There may be times when you do not live up to the fullness of who you are, but you are continually invited back into community. You are always worth restoring. You are wholly loved. You are lovable in your entirety. You contain no secret bad enough that it disqualifies you from compassion. There may be times when you find yourself casting off the things that do not serve you, but you are valued for whoever you have been, whoever you are along the way, and for whoever you are coming to be. You are always worth loving. Amen.
There's a couple of parts to this song. I invite you to sing whichever one makes you the happiest. We'll start with part one. Breathe in, breathe out. Part two. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out. Here's part three. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, when I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
This is the poem called In the Temple by Amy G.S.A. Brooks. I found Jesus. I found them in the youth room, their head lolling lazily against the back of a black futon. They had slipped away from their parents for an hour of laughter, talk, and food. They had stolen away from the pressures of school for an hour of learning. I lost sight of them when we all stood to move around the room, and I found myself dwarfed by these sycamore trees. And we swayed in the branches together, Jesus and me. I found Jesus. She was lying face down on a cast-off couch. A combination of her meds and her ADHD had robbed her of sleep the previous night. She had slipped away from her parents for a nap. She had stolen away from the pressures of her peers for half an hour in this hyperbaric chamber. When the leader gave the instruction to act out the story, she gave an immense, deep sigh and dragged herself from the cushion, her sullen scowl at the others a rebuke to the storm. And we rode the waves together, Jesus and me. I found Jesus. He was running, full pelt across the lawn, defiantly alive in the place of death. He had slipped away from his parents to wave his toddler arms and shout at the clouds. And as our mourning turned to laughter, he invited me to a deeper knowing of the resilience of love. And I understood myself to be not only listener, but listing, leaning more than learning, not merely questioner, but quester, the embodiment of a question. And we inclined ourselves into the motion of a swaying, spinning planet, Jesus and me.
I invite you to do a little stretch in your seat. Make sure you're comfortable, and we'll sing this song together. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Good morning. Hello. It's good to be here. I want to begin, in case we have anyone who has difficulty seeing me for physical or technology reasons, with a visual introduction. My name is Amy. I'm a short, fat, white, middle-aged, cisgender woman with a butch haircut, wearing a black dress which has pockets. And I am wearing a KF94 face mask to accommodate my physical needs and as a spiritual practice. And I know, intellectually, I know that when the incomparable Leslie Gore in 1963 recorded the song You Don't Own Me, that she did not have me personally in mind. And also, she definitely did. Okay? She didn't know it, but she was writing my anthem. All right? Show of hands, anyone familiar with the song? Anyone here who wasn't born in the 1900s, you may be more familiar with the more recent remix featuring G.S.A. But some of you know the words, right? Obviously, I memorized them, but just in case any of you didn't. You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. How can that not resonate with us, right? You don't own me. Don't say I can't go with other boys. Not that relevant for me personally. But you get the vibe. You don't own me. Don't try to change me in any way. You don't own me. Don't tie me down because I'd never stay. What an anthem. What a story. What a summary of what it is to claim independence and autonomy through life. And a little bit, what a description of we are people who have been over the years at the work of discovering for ourselves who we are and where we find truth and meaning and where we discover the holy in unexpected places, where we're surprised by joy and life in a youth group room or in a cemetery. And yeah, okay, does the line, don't try and change me, I don't know, life changes us, right? When we encounter each other in communities, there's the potential there for transformation, for growth, for increased wisdom. But we know that that's not what she means. She's talking about the type of change that's imposed against our will. That's a list of rules that we didn't agree to. And I might be the only one in the room that feels this way, but that kind of enforced change isn't all that comfortable to me. And it hasn't been through the years of my life. And so I'm wondering if there's anyone else in the room who's had the experience with a workplace that called you a member of the family while requiring you to wear a uniform and show up at particular hours and change your entire personality and smile and be professional. I don't know if there's anyone else in the room that's had the experience of being a member of a family which, you know, the promise we're given is that the people who bring us into the world or who claim us will always raise us with love and compassion and will never tell us that they're disappointed in us when we just try and live into the reality of who we are. I don't know about anyone else in the room, but I wonder if anyone else has had an experience with organized religion which has cut into the core of our being and tried to own us. Like for example, okay, just shooting the breeze here, okay? This poem is called Gomer's Complaint. If you're not familiar with the book of Hosea from the Bible, and you don't need to be, the premise of the book is that Hosea is told to marry a sex worker, and then he spends the rest of his life complaining that he married a sex worker. I've saved you a lot of time. Her name is Gomer. And so maybe as I read, you might find something in this that speaks to your experience of interacting with high control groups, okay? "Come as you are," the preacher said. "Just as you are, no need to change." So I stood and excused me my way through the narrow road towards the aisle, and as I went, my shoes caught on someone's feet, tripping me, so I left them behind. "Come as you are." So I swayed down the aisle, hands reaching out to steady me and cloaking me with loose linen garments. "Come as you are," the singer crooned. So I elbowed my way through the crowd, and the piercings in my face snagged in their hair, plucked from my flesh. "Come as you are," scrolled across the screen, but the altar was too high from the ground. So I reached into my heart and I plucked out my hopes and dreams, all my lost loves and yearnings. I cracked open my skull and dragged out my brains, every hard-won belief, every memory of joy and life, and I piled them before me, trampling them into living stairs that whimpered softly as I climbed and left each one behind. "Come as you are," the preacher said, and we stood finally face to face. And I caught a reflection of what I had become in the journey, and I no longer knew myself at all. It felt important to me to introduce my thoughts today by acknowledging the reality that many of us have had to use this "you don't own me" phrase in some of the most intimate and hurtful moments in our lives, that many of us carry the trauma with us from having been part of a high control group. And I wonder if just for a second you can breathe with me as we sit in the tension of that. And if it's not your experience, whether you can breathe with the people here who have lived that reality. Thank you for having the tender courage to share this space with me as I talk about a topic that for some of us can bring us back to the bad place. And that topic, friends, is the Bible. And I acknowledge that there are times when it is good and healthy to set a boundary to protect ourselves, to take a topic that has weighed us down and to set it aside. And that for some of us, setting aside the Bible or organized religion is a good and healthy boundary, and I affirm that. And I want to say this phrase of "you don't own me" applies to us as individuals, and I can almost hear it coming from this book too. Because the question I really want to get at today, what I really want to interrogate together, isn't so much how have we been managed and controlled by this text, which is real. The question I want to get at is more to do with who has the right to ownership of that story. Now, if you've never heard of the Bible before, the first thing I want to make clear is it's not, strictly speaking, a book. It's a series of books. I want to say it's a library. It's a collection of tales, some of which have roots in a time so long ago that the written word hadn't been invented yet. It's written in languages that very few of us have a glancing acquaintance with, let alone depth of and knowledge of, and it comes from cultures so distant from our own that we are often baffled and confused to know what in the heck it's even talking about in the first place. It is rich in imagery, and also it has some stuff that we're like, I don't know about that. That seems problematic. Just like your local community library, really. I work in a library. I wouldn't read every book in that library, but there are people who find great joy and enjoyment in reading the parts of it that I would not, and I enjoy the parts of it that they would not. So I invite you to think of the Bible in that sense. So despite all of this, all the complexity of this, there exists and have existed in this world people who have got the idea that anything about this book whatsoever is in any way clear. It's like, who's really good with the sciences here? Cool, like 2 people. Amazing. If someone was doing their doctoral degree in some of the sciences, right? Let's go with rocket science. Okay, and they brought out their thesis, and they said, the thesis is clear, and you'd be like, is it though? It's not that there's not truth in the thesis, okay? It's not that there's not some meaning to be found in it, but maybe it's not cut and dried in the ways that some of the people who claim ownership of the text of the Bible claim that it is. And the reason I'm talking about this today in this setting among my fellow Unitarian Universalists, knowing that we find the unexpected in unexpected places, and we do not claim an adherence to creeds and to rules. The reason I bring this up is because the people that do claim the ownership of the Bible increasingly are using it to do the type of harm I mentioned at the beginning of this message. Recently at work, I was required to take an active shooter training course. I don't own a gun. I don't find any particular appeal or attraction to weapons myself. I sure need to know how to behave and protect myself and others if someone brings one into the space where I am. So I put it to you that where you have the capacity and the resilience and the courage to do so, we do well to develop the basics of enough biblical literacy to understand what the book is and is not, and to understand that the people who are claiming that they have the only correct reading of it are in fact in the act of weaponizing it in ways that are deeply harmful to the most vulnerable people. So who has the right to the narrative? Who gets to claim ownership of this text, which is from our own history as Unitarian Universalists, one of the sources where we may wander and wonder and be horrified and inspired and encouraged and confused. Who do we allow to claim it as theirs? Do we say, allow the people who eviscerated the text and used it to compel enslaved people to obey their masters and never gave them access to the portions that spoke of liberation and being freed, like, for example, the entire book of Exodus? Are you familiar with slave Bibles? Do you know that they existed, that we can find copies of them today, where wealthy, powerful people literally cut and pasted just the bits that applied to them for their own financial and personal gain? Do we say they get to keep ownership of it? Do we say give ownership over to the people who picked and chose the parts that spoke of God-hating divorce and disregarded the parts that spoke of if you are free, then you have been made free indeed, that affirmed the rights of people to love and care for themselves and not stay in toxic and damaging marriages? Do we give over ownership of this text to the people who, in the middle of the last century, arbitrarily inserted the word homosexual in it into passages that previously had more clearly said, hey folks, maybe we don't molest children, and who equated a loving and affirming same-sex relationship with that atrocity? Do we give ownership over the text to the people who actively, right now in this country, are using it to condemn and to impede the right to individual life and liberty and happiness of transgender people? Do we give ownership of it over to the people who are using it as their personal guidebook to promote into the highest office in the land a corrupt con man who has already demonstrated the chaos that he is capable and willing of bringing, not just to this nation, but around the world? As I said, there's a place for saying, I don't find meaning in that book. And that's okay. And there's a place for saying, I can't engage with that right now because I have healing to do and it is too traumatic, and that's okay too. But I'm wondering if there's also a place where we are people who have discovered that there is more love somewhere, and that there is more love right here. Might we be able to re-engage with the story and to say, you don't own this. We have a part in this narrative too. Might we have the tenacity and the courage and the audacity to push back against a conservative movement that claims that they alone understand what this baffling series of words and phrases is trying to communicate, and to say that conveniently it's really saying wealthy people should get wealthier? Might there be space for Unitarian Universalists to question, to wonder, to interrogate, to wrestle, to lean in on the invitation that these days bring us, to put our feet down and draw a line in the sand and say no more of that until we can pry the text from the cold, dead hands of white Christian nationalism. Might there be a place to find that not only is there more love somewhere, but there's more love anywhere, including this one book among many that guides and inspires us. That's all I was wondering about today. I hope you enjoy humming You Don't Own Me for the rest of the week, as I have been for the past week. And I hope you remember to wonder, to be inspired, to question, and to keep on questioning, because when we can do so with courage and our convictions, we tend to find as a people that where we want to side is on the side of love. Amen.
Thank you very much. For the last time today, I invite you to rise and body your spirit to sing our closing song together. Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
You have something to read, don't you? Excuse me.
No worries. We're a finely oiled machine. Our closing words are from Faith, Mental Illness and Demanding a Blessing by Kate Landis. The ancients told stories and wrote parables to explain what they had found when exploring the mystery. That is all religion is. People wondering about where we came from, why we are here, and where we go after we die. The Bible, the Eightfold Path of Buddhism, the Seven Principles of my own Unitarian Universalist tradition. All are just ideas people had about what made life meaningful. What you think about holiness is just as valid and just as true. So what do you think about holiness? What do you think about God? There is nothing to be afraid of. Your spiritual quest begins now.